Howdy, and welcome to Lola'S Critter Farm episode 5. If you haven't been here before, this is the show where I take some sticks and moss and rocks and junk like that, and I bury it in a hole, and 3 days later, a critter is resurrected from the grave. And let's go meet him. So the first question I gotta ask myself is, what have I been thinking about this week? I'm gonna be honest, y'all, I've been a little depressed. The leaves are turning, the world is burning, and it's hard not to be kind of sad about that. So in order to beat these blues, I have been indulging in some of the things that make me feel better, including frogs, and not only that, but frog memes. I follow quite a few frog meme accounts on Instagram, one of them being Frogwitch, that I love. Next, I had the pleasure of seeing The Fifth Element in theaters recently, and I never actually watched it in full because I'm a dum-dum, but this is the first time I saw it all the way through, and it was amazing, and of course very up my alley for a lot of reasons, but, you know, one of the main reasons being I love any movie that has, you know, costumes, creatures, prosthetics, animatronics, any sort of like practical effects work. So we're going to use the inspiration from The Fifth Element as a justification of materials. So basically my intent was going to be using weird floppy woppy rubber stuff, but that is going to not be what happens, but I will end up using something that is used for cosplay, which I feel like also fits, and we're just going to keep it at that. My last reference today is plants, because I was plant sitting for one of my good friends. My sort of main love languages are quality time and being considered trusty, like a pack mule, and so plant sitting was sort of the perfect way to indulge my, you know, second love language. So anyways, those are my references for this week, and let's go into a sketch. We have this sort of basic frog body. I did give him this absolutely zooted out mouth because I think it's fun and I think it's going to be fun to make. And I also gave him some little teeth because I love animals that have sort of human teeth that don't belong there. And then I'm going to give him some flowers sprouting off of the back because I want to incorporate the flora. Yep, the flora. I'm going to give him some cool little spots, kind of like a poison frog because I like colors. So he's a frog and he's got flowers, and that's pretty simple, but this guy is going to be an absolute baller. That's a finished sketch, and now we got to ask ourselves, how are we going to make this bad boy? Well, first things first, we're going to immediately make the wrong move, and I will explain. So, if you can remember a couple episodes ago, I used this 2-part goo that you mix together. It's cool and it's goopy. That stuff's pretty expensive, so I decided to be budget conscious, and I got something that is about half the price. It's this foam clay, and I figured, hey, I haven't used this before, but it seems simple enough, and also florists or whatever use the foam to like put the flowers in or whatever the heck, so that like makes sense canonically with the design I'm going for, you know, etc, etc. But this was a bad idea because this shit is basically gack from hell. You know gack, you know that stuff that you make in elementary school with, like, if you hit it with force, it's solid and it kind of just bounces, but then if you go really slow, it clings to like every little crevice on your hand. So that stuff is like this, but worse. As you can see here, I'm kind of just trying to corral it into the rough shapes that I want. I got the little feet, I got the little eyes, and then I sort of wrapped it around this squished toilet paper roll to make the snoot. So the thing about this stuff is gravity is our enemy, and it's cool because gravity is everywhere and it's unavoidable. So anything that I tried to do is immediately going to become a flat pancake. So in order to make this body, I put some parchment paper in some little bowls and then just threw the clay in there and hoped. You do the clay and then it just dries in like 48 hours, right? Wrong. Apparently this stuff just stuck to the parchment paper, and because there was a layer of parchment paper, it didn't dry all the way through. So as you can see from my DIY pimple popping video here, there's just like random not dry goop that I had to sort of extract blackhead style. And then my domes were just an absolute nightmare mess of paper that was just kind of like sealed into the clay. So that's cool, but it's nothing some hot glue can't fix. And also like sanding and other shit. So we're just gonna sand this thing and make it a little smoother and easier to work with, and so that I can actually like glue things together, because right now they're like grotesque, wrinkly messes. Then we're gonna glue some sticks in for the legs, and we're just gonna start assembling the base model of this guy by gluing what we can together, because there's gonna be more steps to make him look presentable. When we've put everything together, we have this nightmare fuel, and I love him. But we're gonna have to cover him up with more skin, so back to hell. So the cool thing about this is I'm gonna have to use this dumb foam stuff again. It's gonna very slowly layer the foam clay on. Again, since gravity is not our best friend, we are gonna have to watch it. So we have a gout cam here, which is just sort of keeping tabs on the gout situation as everything dangles and dries. It doesn't look too bad. I do have to kind of guide things as they dry. And once the top side is done, we're gonna flip them over and do the bottom. And now he has more of a body. And then we're gonna go back to sanding just to smooth him out. And I took this really beautiful artistic shot of me using the Dremel because I did spend 4 years in film school and I feel like I should use it for something. All right, step 4, mouth stuff. So I basically traced the circumference of his little zoot snoot, and I'm gonna take a wire and I'm gonna wrap it in this sort of athletic bandage to beef it up a little bit and give it some body. And then after that, I'm gonna cover it in tape. And then after that, I'm gonna cover it in acrylic molding paste, which is basically just gonna act as a base for the paint. And now we gotta create the tongue. And I was inspired by those little beaded keychain lizards that you make in summer camp. I measured out the sort of approximate length and width of the tongue that I wanted. And then we're just gonna do the little beep boop bob, weaving the things back and forth. Basically just a rectangle, so it's not that hard. And we got the tongue. Okay, so those are all the materials and parts that I have at home, so we gotta go get some flowers, which means one thing and one thing only.
We're going to Michael's.
Okay, so halfway into the flower aisle, I got trapped in a conversation with a woman who was almost definitely from New Jersey, and she was wearing a ton of turquoise jewelry about a lamp that she was trying to decorate for her seashell-themed bathroom. And then after that conversation, she said,
You know, I find that a lot of young people are actually really nice, even if people my age sometimes are put off by when they have colored hair or tattoos or piercings. When I was in college, you would have been looked at funny if you had 3 holes in your ears.
Alright, we got the flowers, so the last thing to do is to finish this guy. I do like to make my life harder than it's supposed to be. Again, was raised Catholic, so I have sort of a martyr complex. And the way that that manifested this time is I felt like it would be easier to glue the flowers in before I painted this, because I love obstacles. So we have today's palette, which includes Jaundice, Pepto, Raw Chicken, Green 1 and Green 2, Weird Red, and Yerple. Once we're done painting, we're done. Alright, so what did we learn today? We learned that with foam clay and a prayer, you can make almost anything. Also some hot glue though, you're really going to need the hot glue as well. Alright, so this guy is stunning. He looks better than actual plants, if I'm being honest. I think I should just keep making more of these instead of trying to keep plants alive. He does give off Birdo vibes, like Birdo from Super Mario, so because of that, we are gonna name this guy, we're just gonna call him Jerd. All right, so let's welcome Jared to the farm. I hope you guys had a good time. Tune in next time and we will create yet another front. Can't wait to get that second row, if you know what I mean. And I hope y'all have a good day. Yeehaw, yeehaw. Bye.